At 40 years old, most boxing fans thought Manny Pacquiao was finished. He was facing a younger, bigger, undefeated champion. But what happened next shocked the boxing world. Why everyone doubted him. Going into this fight, the story seemed simple. Thurman was younger, stronger, bigger, and many believed Pacquiao was finally showing his age. The doubts didn't come from nowhere. Pacquiao was already 40 years old. Most fighters are long past their prime at that age. The speed starts to fade, the reactions get slower, and recovery becomes harder with every fight. On the other side stood Thurman, younger, bigger, and undefeated. He was supposed to be entering his prime, while many believed Pacquiao was leaving his. That's why so many predictions sounded the same. Respect the legend, but this was finally the night age would catch up to him. At least, that's what everyone thought. For weeks, the conversation around this fight sounded exactly the same. Thurman was younger. Thurman was undefeated. Thurman was supposed to be entering his prime. Meanwhile, Pacquiao was 40 years old and already considered a legend of a different era. Most people believed this was the fight where experience would finally lose to youth. But they were about to find out just how wrong they were. The first shock. Then, in the very first round, everything changed. One punch completely shifted the mood inside the arena. Thurman entered the fight with confidence. He was younger, undefeated, and expected to control the action from the opening bell. But those expectations didn't last very long. Just moments into the fight, Pacquiao landed a perfectly timed shot that sent Thurman crashing to the canvas. Suddenly, all the pre-fight predictions felt irrelevant. The crowd erupted, the momentum shifted, and for the first time that night, people began to wonder if they had underestimated the Filipino legend. From that moment forward, the entire fight felt different. Thurman was no longer the confident champion everyone expected to see. For the first time, there was real pressure on his shoulders. He had been dropped early, and now he needed answers. Pacquiao, on the other hand, looked sharper with every passing minute. His confidence was growing, the crowd was behind him, and the momentum had completely shifted. Suddenly, the younger champion was the one trying to figure things out. What Pacquiao did differently. Pacquiao wasn't trying to overpower Thurman. He wasn't looking for one big punch. Instead, he relied on the things that made him a legend: speed, angles, and constant movement. Every time Thurman started to get comfortable, Pacquiao changed the picture. He attacked from different angles. He entered quickly, landed combinations, and got out before the counter could arrive. Thurman was constantly forced to reset. Instead of controlling the distance, he was reacting to it. Pacquiao wasn't fighting at a reckless pace. He was fighting at the perfect pace. Fast enough to create problems, smart enough to avoid unnecessary risks. That was the biggest difference between the two fighters. Pacquiao wasn't trying to dominate every second of the fight. He was choosing the right moments to attack, the right moments to take risks, and the right moments to step back and reset. While Thurman was searching for answers, Pacquiao was already executing a plan that was working. And with every passing round, that advantage became harder to ignore. Thurman's biggest mistake. Thurman's biggest mistake wasn't technical. It wasn't his defense. It wasn't his conditioning. His biggest mistake was underestimating the man standing across from him. And that mistake followed him throughout the entire fight. Before the fight, Many people believed Pacquiao was finally slowing down. Thurman seemed to believe it too. He expected the pace to drop. He expected the speed to fade. He expected age to become a factor as the rounds went on. But that version of the fight never appeared. Instead, Pacquiao kept creating angles, kept finding openings, kept forcing Thurman to react. The longer the fight lasted, the clearer it became. Thurman had prepared for a different opponent than the one he was actually facing. And that's what made this mistake so costly. It wasn't a single punch or a single round. It affected the entire game plan. While Thurman waited for Pacquiao to slow down, Pacquiao kept winning important moments. Round after round, those moments started to add up. And by the time Thurman realized it, he was already behind. The body shots. Then came one of the most important adjustments of the entire fight. Pacquiao started attacking a different target. Instead of focusing only on the head, he began investing in the body. And that decision would have a huge impact later in the fight. Body shots rarely get the same attention as knockdowns. They don't always create dramatic highlights, but they can completely change the direction of a fight. Pacquiao understood that. He began mixing punches to the body into his combinations, forcing Thurman to think about more than just defending his head. Every clean shot took a little bit of energy away, a little bit of movement, a little bit of confidence, and as the rounds continued, those small effects started to become impossible to ignore. The best example came when one of those body shots landed perfectly. Thurman's reaction said everything. For a brief moment, you could see the discomfort on his face. It was a reminder that Pacquiao wasn't just winning exchanges, he was slowly breaking his opponent down. And the momentum continued to swing in his favor. Why this win mattered. This victory meant far more than just another win. It wasn't simply about belts or rankings. It was about proving that Manny Pacquiao could still compete at the highest level of the sport. And that made this fight special. At 40 years old, most fighters are thinking about retirement. Many are already far removed from championship-level competition. But Pacquiao was doing something completely different. He wasn't facing easy opponents. He wasn't protecting his legacy. He was stepping into the ring against an undefeated champion in his prime. A fighter who was younger, bigger, and expected to win. And despite all of those disadvantages, Pacquiao found a way to succeed. That's what made this performance so impressive. Years from now, people won't just remember the result, they'll remember what it represented. A legendary fighter refusing to accept the limits that others placed on him. On that night, Pacquiao didn't just win a fight, he reminded the world why his name belongs among the greatest boxers of all time. The world expected a passing of the torch. Instead, they witnessed something very different. They watched a 40-year-old legend defeat an undefeated champion in his prime, against all expectations. And that's why the night Pacquiao beat Thurman remains one of the most unforgettable victories of his career.